Let's rewind the tape all the way back to 1946, a time when the NBA wasn't even called the NBA yet. The league actually started as the Basketball Association of America, and it wasn't founded by basketball minds or even sports executives. It came from hockey arena owners just looking to fill empty dates and turn a profit on nights when there was no puck action. That first game? It featured the New York Knicks and the Toronto Huskies, and it ended with the Knicks barely squeezing out a win by 2 points. Nobody watching that night could have imagined they were witnessing the start of something that would turn into a global phenomenon. The league had a rocky start, with only 11 teams and zero guarantee that it would survive. But one early superstar helped keep things exciting, Joe Fulks. He came out dropping over 23 points a game, which was absurd for that era, and led the Philadelphia Warriors to win the very first championship. But even with his scoring and the buzz he brought, it wasn't enough to keep the whole league stable. After just one season, 4 teams folded. That's right, gone. Just like that. Suddenly, a league that started with 11 teams was already down to 7. Things were shaky, but the BAA kept going. In its second year, they welcomed the Baltimore Bullets from another league, and they actually ended up winning the title that season, led by Buddy Jeanette. That season was only 48 games long, but Max Zaslavsky still managed to lead the league in scoring. Not bad for a league trying to keep its head above water. Then came a major turning point. The BAA managed to poach 4 major franchises from their main competitor, the National Basketball League. One of those teams? The Minneapolis Lakers. And with the Lakers came George Mikan, the first truly dominant big man in professional basketball. Mikan didn't just play the game, he reshaped it. He averaged nearly 30 points a game and powered the Lakers to a dominant finals win. His size and skill were so overwhelming that the league had to literally change the rules just to slow him down. They widened the lane to prevent him from parking himself near the basket all game. But even that couldn't stop him. In 1949, the BAA and NBL finally merged to become the National Basketball Association, the NBA we know today. The league ballooned to 17 teams spread across 3 divisions. Mikan remained the guy to beat, leading the league in scoring again and grabbing another championship for Minneapolis. Meanwhile, new stars like Alex Groza and Paul Arizin were starting to emerge, but Mikan had the league in a headlock. Still, the instability wasn't over. Teams kept folding, and by 1950, just 1 year after the merger, the league had shrunk back down to 11 teams. But in the middle of all this chaos came a moment that changed the league forever. In 1950, Earl Lloyd became the first African-American to play in an NBA game. Chuck Cooper and Nat Clifton followed closely behind. It was a breakthrough that went beyond basketball. This was a sign that the league was evolving, slowly but surely. In 1951, the Rochester Royals finally put a stop to the Lakers' dominance. Behind Arnie Risen and Bob Davies, they knocked off Minneapolis and claimed the title. The Knicks also pushed hard that season, but fell in a brutal 7-game final series. Even though the league tried to slow Mikan down by widening the paint, he just kept finding ways to dominate. Around this time, the NBA introduced something that's still a staple today, the All-Star Game. Fans finally had the chance to see all the league's top talent on one court. Ed Macauley walked away with the MVP in the very first edition. Not long after, the Lakers were back on top, and by 1953, they were the team to beat again. Mikan still wasn't slowing down, and neither was the league's experimentation. They widened the lane again, this time to 12 feet, just to try and keep Mikan from totally taking over every game. Even with all the tinkering and rule changes, the league still wasn't rock solid. By 1954, it had dropped to just 9 teams. But then came a change that would breathe new life into the sport, the 24-second shot clock. Before this, teams could just hold the ball and stall, which made games slow and pretty boring. But once the shot clock came in, everything sped up. Scoring exploded. Fans were engaged. The games actually became fun to watch. It was the single most important rule change in NBA history, and probably the reason the league survived and thrived. In 1956, the MVP award was officially introduced, and Bob Pettit took home the first one while averaging over 25 points and 16 rebounds a night.
That same decade, Paul Arizin helped the Warriors win another championship, and Bob Cousy became a fan favorite for his flashy handles and creative passes. The league had come a long way since its scrappy beginning, and now it was starting to look like a real professional sport. So much of what we take for granted in today's NBA, the speed, the stars, the highlights, even the pace of the game, started here. These early years built the foundation, and everything that came after, it was standing on the shoulders of guys like Mikan, Pettit, Cousy, and Arizin. The NBA wasn't a juggernaut yet, but it was finding its legs. And once the Celtics and a guy named Bill Russell showed up, the league was about to level up again. Big time. Let's jump back into it, because after the dust settled from Mikan and Russell, the league was ready for a new face to take over. And that face? It belonged to Lou Alcindor, who later became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. When he entered the league in 1969, the shift was immediate. This wasn't just another big man. He had skill, grace, and that skyhook. Man, that skyhook. You knew it was coming, and you still couldn't stop it. Kareem wasted no time proving he was the real deal. By his second season, he had already led the Milwaukee Bucks to 66 wins and a dominant championship run, teaming up with the great Oscar Robertson to crush the finals in a clean sweep. That title wasn't just big for Milwaukee. It was a sign that the league was expanding beyond its original hubs. Kareem won MVP, led the league in scoring, and kicked off a run that would go on for 2 decades. And even when Oscar retired, Kareem didn't slow down. He just kept producing, season after season, MVP after MVP. Meanwhile, the league was changing around him. The NBA and ABA merged in the late 70s, and suddenly, the league exploded with new teams, fresh energy, and an insane influx of talent. You had ABA stars like Julius Erving, Dr. J, bringing that flashy, above-the-rim style to the NBA. He wasn't just electrifying. He made the game feel like a show. Between Kareem's consistency and Dr. J's swagger, the NBA was starting to build an identity that fans could rally around. Then came the 1980s, and this is where everything just blew up, in the best way. Because at the exact same time, 2 players arrived who would completely transform the NBA's future: Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. These 2 were already rivals in college, and the second they hit the league, it was like watching 2 forces of nature collide. Magic landed with the Lakers, Bird went to the Celtics, and the moment they arrived, both teams got better overnight. Magic, with his 6'9" frame running point, made Showtime basketball a reality. His no-look passes, full-court sprints, and flair made the Lakers a must-watch. Bird was his polar opposite: quiet, calculated, ruthless, but every bit as lethal. He could shoot, rebound, defend, talk trash in 3 languages, and back it up every single night. Their rivalry? It wasn't just good for basketball. It saved basketball. Celtics versus Lakers became the NBA's main event, coast to coast, primetime TV, packed arenas, and global audiences. In the 80s alone, these 2 teams met in the finals 3 times, and each one felt like a heavyweight championship bout. Magic and Bird split those battles. Magic got 2, Bird got 1. But the real winner was the league. Ratings skyrocketed. The league got its swagger back. But even while Magic and Bird were owning the spotlight, another name was starting to buzz out in Chicago. Some young guard named Michael Jordan. And yeah, you already know where this is going. Jordan came in hot. From the moment he laced up his sneakers, he was doing things nobody had seen before. He was scoring like a machine, dunking from the free throw line, and carrying a struggling Bulls team all by himself. He was flashy and fearless. And in a league filled with grown men and hardened vets, he looked like the future. But before MJ could truly rise, he had to get through Detroit. The bad boy Pistons were no joke. Isaiah Thomas ran the show, Joe Dumars played lockdown D, and guys like Bill Laimbeer and Dennis Rodman brought the muscle. They weren't trying to be loved, they were trying to win. And for a while, they did. They bullied their way to 2 straight championships in 1989 and 1990, locking down opponents with suffocating defense and hard fouls.
Jordan kept running into that brick wall year after year, until 1991. That's when the Bulls finally broke through. Jordan figured out how to beat the Pistons, and from there, it was a wrap. Chicago swept Detroit in the conference finals, then beat Magic and the Lakers in the finals. Jordan got his first ring, and the floodgates opened. The Bulls would win 6 championships over the next 8 years. 2 separate three-peats. Jordan won 5 MVPs, 6 Finals MVPs, and dominated every statistical category that mattered. He had the shrug, the flu game, the last shot. Every year felt like another chapter in a Hollywood script. And even when he retired briefly to play baseball, yeah, that happened, the league still felt his presence looming in the background. While Jordan was doing his thing, the rest of the NBA wasn't just standing still. Hakeem Olajuwon took over in Jordan's absence, leading the Houston Rockets to back-to-back championships in 1994 and 1995. He was graceful, skilled, and one of the best two-way centers ever. Then you had Shaquille O'Neal emerging in Orlando, a 7'1" powerhouse who looked like he belonged in a Marvel movie. Shaq was dominant, and when he eventually paired up with Kobe Bryant in Los Angeles, it created one of the most explosive duos in league history. Kobe, man, he was different. Young, confident, relentless. He came into the league straight out of high school, and while he took some time to adjust, once he got rolling, there was no stopping him. By the early 2000s, he and Shaq had built a dynasty. 3 straight titles from 2000 to 2002, with Shaq winning Finals MVP all 3 times. But the tension between them grew, and eventually, Shaq was traded to Miami. Kobe stayed, rebuilt, and eventually won 2 more titles without Shaq, proving he could carry a team on his own. He was obsessed with greatness, obsessed with getting better, and he left the game with 5 rings, 1 MVP, and a legacy that still echoes today. Meanwhile, Tim Duncan was quietly doing his thing in San Antonio. No drama, no highlights going viral, just wins. He led the Spurs to 5 championships over 15 years, earning the nickname the Big Fundamental for a reason. He wasn't flashy, but his footwork, IQ, and leadership were elite. And alongside guys like Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, the Spurs became a model of consistency and success. That takes us right up to the 2000s and 10s, and that's where we'll pick up in the next part. Because that's when LeBron made the decision, Steph rewrote the rules, and the NBA went fully global. As the 2010s rolled in, everything changed with one televised sentence: "I'm taking my talents to South Beach." LeBron James made the decision, and just like that, the NBA was flipped on its head. Teaming up with Dwyane Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami wasn't just a power move. It redefined what player agency looked like in the league. Fans were stunned. Jerseys were burned. But it worked. LeBron reached 4 straight finals with the Heat, winning 2 championships in the process. Their first year together wasn't smooth sailing. Chemistry issues, media pressure, and the weight of expectations crushed them in the 2011 finals against Dirk Nowitzki's Dallas Mavericks. But after that embarrassment, Miami locked in. LeBron became a better shooter, defender, and leader. In 2012, the Heat rolled through the league. LeBron won MVP, they took down the Thunder in the finals, and the super team experiment was officially validated. 2013 was arguably even better. Miami rattled off 27 straight wins, one of the longest streaks in NBA history. They faced the Spurs in the finals, and Game 6 gave us one of the most iconic moments ever. Down 3, with seconds left, Chris Bosh snatched an offensive rebound and kicked it out to Ray Allen in the corner. Splash. Overtime. Game 7 title. LeBron was Finals MVP again. He had arrived, fully and completely. But no dynasty lasts forever. In 2014, the Spurs got their revenge. Kawhi Leonard emerged as a two-way force, Tim Duncan turned back the clock, and San Antonio dismantled the Heat with one of the most beautiful displays of team basketball we've ever seen. It was efficient, unselfish, and brutal. LeBron left Miami shortly after and returned to Cleveland, promising to bring a title to his home state. While all that was going on in the East, the West was getting wild. A young team in Oakland was quietly changing the game. Steph Curry, with his lightning-quick release and unlimited range, was beginning to make waves. The Warriors hired Steve Kerr in 2014, gave Curry the keys, and built a system around pace, spacing, and ball movement. What happened next was historic. In 2015, Golden State won 67 games and captured the championship, beating LeBron's Cavaliers in 6 games. Curry won MVP, Draymond Green became a defensive Swiss Army knife, and Klay Thompson continued to torch nets from deep. The Splash Brothers had arrived, and they weren't going anywhere. The next season, they broke the record, 73-9. Better than Jordan's Bulls. Curry was the first unanimous MVP in league history, averaging over 30 points while barely playing in the fourth quarter most nights. They cruised to the finals and went up 3-1 on Cleveland. It looked over. Then came the collapse. Draymond got suspended. Kyrie hit a cold-blooded 3. LeBron chased down Iguodala and delivered the block. The Cavs completed the greatest comeback in finals history, and Cleveland finally had its ring. LeBron fulfilled his promise, and in that moment, he cemented his legacy as one of the greatest ever. Golden State wasn't about to let that sting last too long. That summer, they pulled off the biggest free agent coup since LeBron joined Miami. Kevin Durant signed with the Warriors. The rich got richer. People hated it, called it unfair. But on the court, it was basketball poetry. From 2017 to 2018, the Warriors were basically unstoppable. Durant, Curry, Klay, and Draymond were too much for anyone. They went 16-1 in the 2017 playoffs, and KD won Finals MVP 2 years in a row. LeBron kept fighting. He even averaged a triple-double in the 2017 Finals, but the gap was just too big. By 2019, the dynasty started to show cracks. Injuries hit hard. Durant tore his Achilles in the Finals. Klay tore his ACL. Toronto, led by a locked-in Kawhi Leonard, took advantage and won their first-ever title. Just like that, the door was open again. That moment also marked the beginning of a new chapter in the NBA, the era of balance. LeBron moved to the Lakers. KD went to Brooklyn. Kawhi joined the Clippers. Suddenly, there were no more guaranteed champions. Every season felt up for grabs, and we're still living in that world right now. The end of the Warriors dynasty didn't just reset the power structure, it ignited one of the most unpredictable stretches in NBA history. What came next wasn't just about rings or MVPs, it was about chaos, comebacks, and shifting identities. The league, once dominated by super teams, now belonged to the unexpected. And it all began in a bubble. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a deep dive like this. Drop a comment below and tell us which era defined your love for the game. The 2020 season was like nothing anyone had ever seen. COVID shut the world down, and for the NBA, that meant suspending the season in March, just as playoff races were heating up. When the league resumed, it wasn't in front of sold-out arenas or roaring fans. It was inside a Disney World bubble in Orlando, Florida. No travel, no crowds, just hoops. And in that strange environment, LeBron James once again reminded everyone who he was. Now in his mid-30s and playing for his third franchise, LeBron led the Lakers to the finals alongside Anthony Davis. The chemistry was instant. AD was dominant in the paint, LeBron controlled the pace, and their supporting cast, guys like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Rajon Rondo, and Dwight Howard, stepped up. In the finals, they faced the Miami Heat, a gritty underdog team led by Jimmy Butler. Miami wasn't supposed to be there. They were a 5th seed, but they fought through the East, knocking off Giannis's Bucks and Jason Tatum's Celtics to make it. The finals became a battle of styles, LA's star power versus Miami's depth and hustle. Butler had an iconic 40-point triple-double in Game 3, but it wasn't enough. LeBron closed the series in Game 6 with a dominant performance, securing his 4th title and 4th Finals MVP. It was validation, again. But if you thought LeBron's win would set off another run of dominance, the next few years proved otherwise. The following season, 2021, brought another twist. Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo had been knocking on the door for years. 2-time MVP, Freak athlete, relentless motor. But people still questioned whether he could win it all. In 2021, he answered every doubt with one of the greatest finals performances of all time. The Bucks, after falling behind 0-2 to the Phoenix Suns, stormed back to win 4 straight. Giannis closed Game 6 with 50 points, adding 14 boards and 5 blocks. He shot 17 of 19 from the free throw line, a part of his game that had long been criticized. The Bucks had their first title in 50 years. Giannis had his legacy moment. But again, no repeat. By 2022, the Warriors were back. Klay returned after 2 brutal injuries. Draymond was still anchoring the defense. And Steph Curry? He was on a mission. After years of hearing he'd never won a Finals MVP, he went ballistic. In the finals against the Celtics, Curry averaged over 30 a game and lit Boston up in Game 4 with a 43-point masterpiece. The Warriors took the series in 6, and Steph finally had that missing piece to his resume. 4 titles, 2 MVPs, now a Finals MVP. He was officially in the all-time conversation. The Celtics, for what it's worth, weren't going anywhere. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown had blossomed into one of the best young duos in the league. And while 2022 ended in heartbreak, they came back in 2024 to finish the job. But before that, one more team made their mark. In 2023, the Denver Nuggets finally broke through. For years, Nikola Jokic had been mesmerizing fans with his unique style. A 7-footer who passed like a point guard, shot like a wing, and rebounded like a beast. He'd already won 2 MVPs, but in 2023, he leveled up. Jokic led the Nuggets to a dominant playoff run, sweeping the Lakers in the West Finals and dispatching the Heat in 5 in the Finals. He averaged a near triple-double across the playoffs and controlled every aspect of the game. Jamal Murray was back healthy, hitting clutch shots, and Denver's role players delivered night after night. It was their first title ever, and Jokic cemented himself as the best player in the world, and then came the Celtics.
In 2024, Boston came back with a vengeance. After coming up short in 2022 and falling in 2023, they loaded up, adding Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis to bolster their depth. With Tatum leading the way and Jaylen Brown having the best postseason of his career, they stormed through the East. The finals matchup? The Dallas Mavericks, led by Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Luka dropped 35 a night in the series, but Boston was too deep, too disciplined, too balanced. They took the series in 5, and Brown was named Finals MVP. That brought us to 2025, and once again, everything was wide open. The Cavaliers had become the surprise of the year, ripping through the East with a blazing win streak. Donovan Mitchell looked like a man possessed. Evan Mobley had made a leap on defense, and Darius Garland was orchestrating the offense with confidence. They were young, hungry, and dangerous. In the West, it was the Thunder making waves. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had gone from rising star to legit MVP candidate. His footwork, pacing, and shot-making were elite. And around him, OKC had built a deep, modern team filled with wings, shooters, and long defenders. They were the league's top-ranked defense and could run anyone out of the gym. But that wasn't all. At the trade deadline, the Lakers did something wild. They traded Anthony Davis to Dallas and brought in Luka Doncic to pair with LeBron. It was a blockbuster move that changed the entire balance of the league overnight. Suddenly, LA had 2 of the most creative offensive minds in basketball, and they were already building scary chemistry.
Golden State, still in the mix. They added Jimmy Butler at the deadline, and with Steph, Klay, and Draymond still clicking, they were a playoff threat nobody wanted to see. And then there was Victor Wembanyama. The 7'4" rookie phenom had taken the league by storm in San Antonio. He wasn't just blocking shots, he was altering entire game plans. He could pull up from 3, dribble like a guard, and cover the whole court defensively. After winning Rookie of the Year, he was already being talked about as a future MVP. The Spurs weren't contenders yet, but they were building something. What made this era so different was that there was no formula anymore. Some teams were built around stars, others relied on depth. Some played fast, shot 43s a night. Others slowed it down and pounded the paint. You had a mix of everything: old-school vets, international stars, rookie sensations. It was a melting pot of styles, cultures, and philosophies. And the crazy part? No one had figured it out better than anyone else. Since 2019, we'd had 6 different champions in 6 seasons. Raptors, Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets, Celtics. No repeats, no dynasties, just constant movement, constant surprises. That's where we stand heading into the final stretch of this era. There's no dominant team, no unstoppable force, just a league filled with hope, hype, and possibility. And the 2025 playoffs? They might be the wildest yet. Heading into the 2025 playoffs, the tension across the league is unreal. With no clear favorite, no guaranteed winner, and every team believing this could be their year, the NBA feels more open and more dramatic than ever before. Let's start with the Cavaliers. Cleveland hasn't been taken seriously since LeBron left, but this season, they've flipped the script. Donovan Mitchell is playing the best basketball of his life. He's attacking the rim with fury, shooting confidently from deep, and leading with a calm that screams playoff ready. Evan Mobley has become a defensive monster, blocking shots, switching on guards, and anchoring the paint like a veteran. And Darius Garland? He's the glue. A smooth facilitator with a clutch gene that keeps showing up in fourth quarters. But the question looms, can they do it in the playoffs? Regular season magic is one thing, but the postseason has a way of exposing flaws. And the Cavs, for all their momentum, still haven't proven it when the lights are brightest. Then there's Oklahoma City. The Thunder's rise has been a slow burn. Years of smart drafting, patient development, and savvy trades have brought them here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has become one of the most complete guards in the league. He doesn't rush. He doesn't panic. He just picks defenses apart with his pace, footwork, and incredible feel. Next to him, Josh Giddey's vision and length cause matchup problems. Chet Holmgren stretches the floor and protects the rim. And they've surrounded that trio with shooting, length, and IQ. They don't have a super team, but they play like one, connected, unselfish, and relentless. They've got the best defense in the league, and their young legs don't get tired. That's scary in a long playoff run, but experience matters. Will they stay composed when the series tightens? Can they execute when the pressure cranks up? That's what everyone wants to see. Meanwhile, the Lakers are turning heads again. After trading Anthony Davis to Dallas and bringing in Luka Doncic, things looked risky. Would the styles mesh? Would the defense collapse without AD? Would LeBron have enough gas left? So far, it's working. LeBron, now in year 22, continues to defy logic. He's not just effective, he's elite. He manages the game like a chess master, picking spots, elevating teammates, and still delivering highlight plays. Luka, on the other hand, brings a new layer of creativity. His stepbacks, his floaters, his cross-court lasers, they unlock new dimensions in LA's offense. The spacing is better, the energy is up, and the basketball IQ on this team? Off the charts. But again, it's about the playoffs. Can Luka shine on this stage alongside another alpha? Can the Lakers hold up defensively? And will the supporting cast show up? We're about to find out. Golden State is lurking too. They're not the juggernaut they once were, but you can't count them out. Steph Curry is still Steph, deadly from anywhere on the court, smarter than everyone, and cold-blooded when it matters most. Klay Thompson has had up and down stretches, but when his shot is falling, few players can flip a game faster. Adding Jimmy Butler at the deadline was bold and potentially genius. Butler brings playoff toughness, defense, and clutch scoring. He doesn't need 30 a night, he just needs moments, and he always finds them. With Draymond directing traffic and Steve Kerr pulling the strings, the Warriors are once again the team nobody wants to face. If they get hot, watch out. Boston, on the other hand, is already rolling. Fresh off their 2024 title, the Celtics didn't get complacent. Jason Tatum has tightened up his decision-making. Jaylen Brown is attacking with more control, and their core has only grown stronger. Drew Holiday's defense, Derek White's versatility, Porzingis' shot blocking. This roster is deep. They've already shown they can win ugly. They can run up the score or grind it out. The real test? Staying hungry. Repeating is hard. Everyone's gunning for them now. Denver is still a problem too. Jokic might be the most unique player in the league. His stat lines look made up. 26 points, 12 boards, 9 assists, on 65% shooting. But beyond the numbers, he's the calm in the chaos. You double him, he finds cutters. You sag off, he hits floaters. You blitz the pick and roll, he slips it and runs the break. He's a one-man offensive system. With Jamal Murray healthy and the role players stepping up, the Nuggets are just as dangerous as last year. Maybe more. They've got experience, chemistry, and a core that's been through the wars. And let's not forget Dallas. Losing Luka might have seemed like a step back, but adding Anthony Davis changed their identity. Suddenly, they're a defensive juggernaut. Kyrie Irving handles the offense with flair and unpredictability, while AD controls the paint. The pairing isn't perfect, but it's terrifying when it clicks. Detroit is the underdog story. After years in the basement, they've finally built something. Cade Cunningham has made a leap, Ozzer Thompson is locking down wings, and Jalen Duren's energy is off the charts. They're not title favorites, but they've got that dangerous if you sleep on them energy. San Antonio? They're a few pieces away, but Wembanyama has already changed the trajectory of the franchise. He's not just a future star, he's a present-day problem. His rim protection warps spacing. His shot making at 7 feet 4 inches is unreal. If they add the right veterans, the Spurs could become a powerhouse again faster than expected. And this isn't just a league of talent, it's global now. Wemby in France, Luka in Slovenia, Jokic in Serbia, Giannis in Greece, Embiid in Cameroon, SGA in Canada. The international takeover isn't coming. It already happened. This wave of global stars has brought new fans, new styles, and a fresh sense of identity to the league. It's more diverse, more dynamic, and more connected than ever. So, what defines this current era? Not dynasties, not three-peats, not dominance, opportunity. The era of balance means every season brings new matchups, new rivalries, new heroes. One year it's Toronto, the next it's Denver, then Boston, then maybe Cleveland. Every champion has had a different path, a different formula. Some relied on defense, others on shooting. Some had superstars, others won through depth. There's no one way to do it anymore. And that's what makes it beautiful. The league isn't top-heavy, it's wide. From the best players to the 10th guy off the bench, everyone matters. Coaching matters. Chemistry matters. Smart roster moves matter. Every game feels like a coin flip. Every playoff series could go either way, and every finals MVP could be someone new. We're witnessing the most competitive era in NBA history. Not the most dominant, not the most historic, but definitely the most unpredictable, and maybe the most fun. So, as the 2025 playoffs tip off, remember this: you never know who's going to catch fire, who's going to rise, who's going to write their name into history. The next dynasty might be just around the corner, or maybe we'll keep spinning this wild wheel of champions. Either way, we're watching something special. Thanks for being here. And if you've made it this far, you already know, this league never sleeps.